There's a book that got banned from the Bible, not because it was fake, but because it was too weird. The book of Enoch talks about angels having sex with humans and creating giants. It explains where demons actually come from. It gives you a tour of 7 levels of heaven, and it was written before Jesus was even born. For over 1,000 years, the only complete copy was hidden in Ethiopia. Then in 1773, a Scottish explorer found it. Here are 10 of the weirdest things in the book of Enoch. 450-foot giants. When the Watchers had children with human women, their offspring weren't normal. They were called the Nephilim, and the Nephilim were giants, not metaphorical giants. The book gives measurements. Some Nephilim were 300 cubits tall. That's about 450 feet. Taller than the Statue of Liberty. The text describes what happened when these giants were born. At first, they just ate all the food humans could produce. But when the food ran out, they started eating animals, all of them. And when the animals were gone, they turned on humans. The book describes the Nephilim hunting and eating people. When humans became scarce, the giants started eating each other. The earth became completely violent. God looked down and decided to wipe it all out with a flood. But here's the problem. The Nephilim died in the flood, but their spirits didn't. They couldn't go to heaven because they were half angel. They couldn't go to hell because they weren't fully human. So they became demons. The book explicitly says that evil spirits roaming the earth are the disembodied souls of the dead Nephilim. This is Enoch's explanation for where demons come from, not fallen angels, the dead children of fallen angels. Rebellion Pact. The book names 200 angels called the Watchers who were sent to earth to watch over humans. Their leader was Semjasa. These were powerful beings with access to heaven's secrets. But when they got to earth, they saw human women and thought they were beautiful. So Semjasa gathered all 200 Watchers on Mount Hermon and made them swear a binding oath together. If they were going to rebel against God by taking human wives, they were all going down together. Nobody could back out. Everyone was equally guilty. It was a rebellion pact. Then they descended, took human wives, and started teaching humans forbidden knowledge. The book names specific Watchers and lists exactly what each one taught. Azazel taught humans how to make weapons, swords, knives, shields, armor. He also taught women how to make cosmetics and jewelry. Amazarach taught sorcery. Barkayal taught astrology. Tamiel taught astronomy. Asaradel taught the phases of the moon. The book is literally saying that metallurgy, astrology, cosmetics, and astronomy were all forbidden knowledge stolen from heaven and given to humans by rebel angels. Angel hierarchy. The book doesn't treat all angels as equal. Enoch describes a strict organizational structure in heaven. At the top are the 4 archangels, Michael, Gabriel, Raphael, and Uriel. But under them are entire ranks of specialized angels with specific jobs. There are angels who control the seasons, angels who manage the stars, angels who record every human action in books, angels whose only job is to sing continuously before God's throne. The book names dozens of them and describes their exact responsibilities. Raguel oversees the behavior of other angels. Sariel is in charge of the spirits of humans who sin. Remiel is responsible for guiding souls who rise to heaven. And here's what's unsettling. These aren't just titles. The book describes them as distinct beings with individual personalities, specific powers, and clear jurisdictions. Heaven operates like a massive bureaucracy, with departments, managers, and specialized workers. Every natural phenomenon, every human experience, every cosmic event has an angel assigned to oversee it. And according to Enoch, this system has been running perfectly since the beginning of creation. Underground prisons, the Watchers didn't die in the flood. Angels can't die that way. So God sent the archangels to deal with them. Michael, Gabriel, Raphael, and Uriel captured the Watchers and imprisoned them in dark valleys deep in the earth. Not hell. Specific locations on earth where they're trapped in darkness, waiting for judgment day. But Azazel got special treatment. God told Raphael to bind Azazel hand and foot, throw him into a desert called Dudael, cover him with sharp rocks, and leave him in darkness forever. Azazel is pinned under rocks, unable to see, unable to move, waiting thousands of years for final judgment. The other watchers are imprisoned together. Enoch describes visiting them and hearing them scream and beg for mercy. But their prayers won't be heard. They knew what they were doing, and they chose rebellion anyway. The book says they'll stay in those dark prisons until the end of the world. Then they'll be thrown into the lake of fire. And the text treats these as real locations on earth. Somewhere, according to Enoch, there are valleys where fallen angels are buried under rocks, screaming in darkness. Weather warehouses. The book describes 7 levels of heaven, and the first one isn't what you'd expect. It's basically a storage facility for weather. Enoch gets taken by angels to see these massive warehouses containing snow, ice, clouds, and dew. The text literally describes angels opening and closing warehouses to send weather down to earth. There's even a special vault of hail reserved exclusively for days of war and battle. The book treats weather like inventory in a warehouse. When you see a thunderstorm, according to Enoch, that's because an angel just opened the storm warehouse and released its contents. But it gets weirder. The 4th heaven contains the actual courses of the sun and moon. Enoch watches angels opening 12 massive gates, one for each month, to let the sun through. The sun doesn't move on its own. It's pulled by creatures called phoenixes and chalkidri, described as 12 winged serpents made of fire. The entire cosmos, according to this book, runs like a warehouse managed by middle management angels. Animal prophecy. The weirdest thing in the book of Enoch is a prophecy where the entire history of Israel is told through animals. Adam is a white bull, Eve is a heifer, Cain is a black bull who kills Abel, a red bull. Noah is a white bull who builds an ark. Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob are white bulls. The 12 tribes of Israel are sheep born from Jacob. Moses is a sheep who leads the other sheep out of Egypt away from wolves who represent the Egyptians. Then Israel gets attacked. Wolves, ravens, vultures, and kites swoop down on the sheep. These are Assyrians, Babylonians, and other nations that conquered Israel. David is described as a ram with a large horn who fights off some of the predators. Solomon is another ram who builds a house for the sheep. Then Enoch sees something change. A white bull is born from the sheep. Not a sheep, a bull. He grows massive horns, and all the animals on earth fear him. The wild beasts, the predators, everything bows before this bull. This is interpreted as the Messiah, born from Israel, but more than Israel, powerful enough to defeat all enemies. And the book stops there. Creation's edge. The angels don't just take Enoch through heaven and hell. They take him to the literal ends of the earth. Enoch describes being brought to the edge of creation and looking out into complete darkness, not the darkness of night, the darkness of absolute nothingness. He sees the pillars that hold up heaven and earth, massive foundations that keep everything from collapsing into the void. But the most detailed description is of the gates of the sun and moon. Enoch is taken to the eastern edge of the world where he watches the sun rise. There are 12 massive gates, one for each month. Angels open the appropriate gate depending on what month it is, and the sun passes through. In summer, the sun uses northern gates, making days longer. In winter, it uses southern gates, making days shorter. The book treats the earth as a flat circle with edges. Beyond the edges is nothing. The sun travels across it through gates managed by angels, then goes underneath at night, emerging again in the east. And the text is completely matter-of-fact about this. Enoch isn't describing a vision, he's describing what he saw. 4 hells. After touring heaven, Enoch gets taken to see where human souls go after death, and it's not a single place. The book describes hell as divided into 4 distinct sections. The first section is for the righteous who died before Judgment Day. It's described as a beautiful place with a bright spring of water. The souls there are joyful, waiting for resurrection. The second section is for sinners who weren't punished during their lives. They're kept in pain, waiting to be judged. And they can see the righteous in paradise, which makes it worse. The third section is for people who were murdered. Their souls cry out constantly for vengeance, demanding God punish their killers. The fourth section is for sinners who died and were forgotten. Nobody mourned them. Nobody buried them properly. These souls are kept in complete darkness, forgotten even in death. On Judgment Day, each group will be sent to their permanent destination. The righteous go to paradise, the sinners go to fire. But here's what's unsettling. This isn't the lake of fire yet. This is the waiting room. These souls are experiencing a preview of what's coming. 7,000 years. When Enoch reaches the seventh heaven, God speaks to him directly. And God tells him something nobody else knows: the exact length of human history from beginning to end. From Adam to the end of the world is exactly 7,000 years. Each 1,000 years represents one day of the creation week. After the 7,000 years, there will be an eighth day, an eternal day where time no longer exists. God also tells Enoch how creation happened, creating invisible things before visible things, establishing the foundations of the earth on water, hanging the earth on nothing. And Enoch is told to write it all down. God keeps him in the seventh heaven for 60 days. Enoch writes 366 books containing all the knowledge of creation, the secrets of heaven, the names of angels, the timeline of history. But here's the problem. Those 366 books are lost. We have the book of Enoch. But the other 364 books are gone. According to the text, humanity lost access to complete knowledge of creation, written by someone who spoke directly to God. The Tree of Life's location. Enoch doesn't just hear about the Tree of Life, he sees it, and the book gives specific details about where it is. The tree is described as more fragrant than any spice on earth. Its leaves never fall. Its fruit is described as resembling clusters of dates, but golden. The tree stands at the exact center of paradise, but here's what's strange. Enoch says the tree won't be accessible to anyone until after the final judgment. It's guarded, reserved specifically for the righteous who survive until the end of days. When judgment comes, its fruit will be given to the chosen ones, and they'll live forever without disease or hardship. The book treats this as a real physical tree in a real location that humans will eventually be able to access, not symbolic, actual. And Enoch describes the smell so vividly that you can tell he believed he actually stood next to it. So why isn't this in the Bible? The early church debated it. The book of Jude quotes Enoch directly. Church fathers like Tertullian considered it scripture. The Ethiopian Orthodox Church still includes it today, but most denominations excluded it. The stuff about angels having sex with humans was controversial. And by the 4th century, when the biblical canon was formalized, Enoch had already been lost in most of the Christian world. But whether it's scripture or not, the book of Enoch influenced how people understood angels, demons, heaven, and hell for thousands of years. It's a wild book.